I wanted to check out some stock candidates here because I was actually able to find a lot of great candidates to watch out for. There were a couple of buy candidates. This is Forrester Research. This one's been in a very, very nice uptrend. You can see how bullish this channel has been. Very, very nice uptrending market. Yesterday, price came into the LVN. And remember, in an uptrending price structure, you defend LVNs as a bull. You defend LVNs. You break through the LVN, you defend it as a bull. That's just the nature of a price structure in that type of auction. So right here, 39s coming back into it, a major tail, the body of the tail somewhere up here. So this one right here, I mean, it's already traded, but I think continue to watch this one in the 39s here because that could be a great opportunity to squeeze to the next round of targets above. If you look at this thing, you know, you can measure up to about 44s perhaps. So this one could be a nice move of about 5 handles here, especially given the current trend. And it does have sloppy retracements at times here. So this is a major pullback, but look how many times it gives you an opportunity to get in. You know, here it pulls back, lots of opportunity. So I don't think that this is over here. It's been hanging out in this zone for a while, so this could come back and shake into 39 to 39 quarter. That could be a great opportunity to get in there and squeeze to about 44s. This is SSH. This one's one I just wanted to watch here because a lot of times some of these things are, you know, pumped up big time, right? Everybody gets in here or here at about 50 cents, and all of a sudden it gets pumped up to $1.60, right? And you double, triple your money in a matter of a week. And then it gets dropped back down. Oftentimes after this initial bump here, you get another leg here of reaccumulation, and then you could see perhaps a second move higher. So I'm just watching this area just more as an idea here, just to see how that performs. So, you know, it's only 75 cents, so I'm not by at all means recommending this right now, but this one's just one to watch because I do think these have lots of merit during certain times, and this is just more for my education right now because these types of opportunities seem to happen often, and just want to see how it's behaving in the current market. Let's see here, what else do we have? This one is SRNE. This one's not ready just yet, but this is an accumulation phase that could see a major, major move. You can see how we've kind of slowly gone sideways here. This one's kind of been mostly flat on top. It's forming that wedge. At some point or another, it's going to blow its top. And so this one could get you all the way back toward the 10 to 1050 zone. And, you know, it'd be breaking through about 720s. So that's a pretty solid move right there. And, you know, any push into that area could easily be seen as a selling opportunity back across the range and as it establishes itself here. So when we talk about it, I know Max asks every once in a while about identifying accumulation. When I see accumulation, I tend to kind of flag it and pull it aside because I know the type of major moves that can come from it. You can play with options. You can play it however many number of ways. You can see that on pullbacks it's been defended right now, so you could perhaps get in down here ahead of a break through this LVN, right? But anytime you're breaking back above a previous distribution, we know and we hold as a fact, right? Part of our foundational market concepts that price will then auction across the previous price distribution, right? And so again, that's why you can say, hey, above 725, you get 10s. That's a big move. Big move. Anytime you can get 3 points, that's a 50% increase in price. So I like that one as an accumulation phase. And as a matter of fact, I mean, looking for accumulation in stocks below, you know, $2 or $1, man, I mean, anytime you see something that's dropped and all of a sudden it just does this at around 75 cents. That's just an accumulation phase just ahead of boom, some big 2-day spike to $7 and then it comes back down. And it happens all the time. A lot of people base their services around just finding those. Okay, I found a lot. Those are just a few of the buy candidates. Just a few, and they weren't that solid. But there's a lot more bear candidates here. And that always gives me a little idea about which way the market might be headed in the short term. Here's one where we have a very nice range here that's developed. You can see the range from here to here. Here's value, 45.75. If we were to do, a micro composite VPOC, you might have bottom of value there, top of value there, right? And so right now we formed a rejection tail above recent highs, and now it's already starting down a little bit. But basically the idea is any push into 50 or thereabouts, this is above composite value right there, 49.41. Anywhere in this zone is an opportunity to get this thing back toward 45.75 and perhaps back across the range into 43s. So that could be a 7-handle move down, say 50s or anywhere in this zone back toward 44s, 43s even. I mean, that's a big time move. So right now, I believe that this market is trading a trading range state right now, and we've just seen a rejection tail up here, so we could see a multiple day move back toward the bottom of the range. This is NTAP. This one was found with the 5-day ADR wide ranging scan. So it's looking at the 5-day range, the recent 5-day range, which in this case was here down to here. So that high, and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in this low. That range right there, what's the 5-day range? Because if it's super wide compared to its average 5-day range, then I want to know about it, because that tells me some significant volatility has occurred. And if during that volatility it finds a rejection point, we could then easily fade it back toward the midpoint of that impulse range, right? So that's one of our core signals. That's one of our core setups. We talk about it a lot in Masters. We talk about it here. We find these opportunities. So this is one right here where if we found a high here and that's a rejection point, we can then mark the impulse move. So the low right there is 28.32. I can right click, add a extension. When you come up here to the high, that's 35.47s. So the midpoint somewhere about 32s, 31.89. So we could be looking at a fade opportunity that brings us back to here. Additionally, what we can do is then we can use our ADR method and make a bear target here. So there it is. So if we're looking at our ADR method bear targets, if this is the high of the week, which is 35.47, then we could see a 100% average range target right here. So on average, price would then have a move down to 33.58. That's on average over the last 10 weeks. So we know markets don't move in perfect averages, so we use this target, the 75% target, as our primary, so 34.05. So you could be looking at a move at least to here or down into this zone this week. You can also pop up some monthly targets to see where those stack up, although this month is coming up to an end pretty close over the next week of trading. So that's one right here that we could be looking for a fade opportunity. Here is 6. This is 6 flags. This one is just a downtrending market. Very significant sell-off. It sold off, got a breakaway gap here, took value offered. So it's dropped from basically 59.5 all the way down into 50.5. It got down into 49. So big time sell-off. And what I like here is this recent support got offered and then it became resistance. Anytime that happens, that usually implies at least another dip to recent lows to test the waters, if not extend the range. So, it's exactly what happened right here as well. Here's the recent low, it goes off or it comes back, makes it resistance, so it continues downward. So this could be the next round. So I like this one a lot. Anywhere in that zone, I know we're a little bit off of it now. We're about 30 minutes into the market, but it's one that should continue to push downward and at least test the levels below this low. If you start to see a rejection here, then this thing might be done. So, that's your first major caution zone. So 6 looks pretty good. WLK, this one was one where we had a big impulse move. It rallied right up to resistance and got rejected. So here's 53s. You can see it's prior support. It goes offered, becomes resistance, becomes resistance. So 53s here. That's a major rejection of prices above that zone. And so the idea with this one is you have an impulse move from here to here. You could see a quick move back toward the midpoint of that range. 48s is very important, as you can see some prior resistance there turn to support. So at least a move to 48s, right? So we can mark this as a key level right here. Let's go. There we go. I'm going to make this a key level. 48 evens. And then I'm going to duplicate this one and bring it up to 53s. There you go. Key level above. I'll duplicate this one and bring it down here. The key level below is going to be 40 evens. So you can see the trading range that's been developed. And right now, after rejecting back off that range before, you can see a major tail defining itself here. You can wait and be patient for this thing to come up because we might see a push back into this zone for a redefend as it did before. So it may not leave you behind. It could also. So if this thing closes well below here, you can do a re-entry off of the previous low. You can do all kinds of different entries, right? We have our entry techniques section where you can take a look at these different various entry techniques in the 10-part executive training series at the premium dashboard. But this one right here looks like a great opportunity to come back across the range. Typically speaking, if you're going to find it at rejection, then you'd like to return it as low as value. So this one has a lot of legs here, potentially, that it could go. So this one's pretty good. I like this one. There's another one here. This is TLMR. This one's been super bullish. It's hard to trade. It's hard to sell something when it's been in this aggressive of a trend. So you really have to be careful about waiting for something until it really finds rejection. And you can see how this thing has been hunting higher. You look at the types of days here, right? There's various types of days where it's just continually going higher. But this one blasted off on this high and then formed a significant tail. That's going to be very important right there, because once you find this type of rejection in the chart, it tells you the market may have overextended itself, and now it could be looking to re-auction all of the ill-auctioned prices back across the volume profile. So right here, very thin part of the profile. This is very bulky down here. That's where it auctioned all the way up. Once you find rejection, typically speaking, you auction all the way back down across that range. So to retrade all these prices, right? And so this is a major rejection point. Here's the midpoint. You're starting to see a retest portion right now occur. This could be a nice whipsaw back toward at least the center of this recent impulse range. So we can do an impulse move from here to here, or we can do it from here up. At times, I like to be safer, especially in a case where this thing goes up. I always err on the side of caution. It's safer to draw a smaller key range. So impulse move from here up, just because the midpoint then becomes a closer target. So I'm just going to do that. So we have a low here. Awesome, Max. Will do. So the idea is with these candidates here, whenever I do find some good candidates that we talk about, I save off this clip and I post it to the premium analysis video playlist. So you have these saved whenever we do them. So that's the goal here. All right, so here's a low. That low is 1958. Right click and add a fib extension. The high here is 2387. Right here. So 2173 would then be our midpoint. And that's a good midpoint. It comes right into this, the bottom of this volume ledge, into this LVN. So I think that's a really good spot. You know, if we would have done it from here up, then we probably would be right here, which would still be a good zone, you know, but anytime you're this bullish, you have to be extra cautious. Remember, if price pushes through this midpoint and closes somewhere in this part of the candle, I mean, for all intents and purposes, that trade's pretty much done, because at some point now it's going to hunt for prices above that high and dance around. You don't really want price to really get much above that midpoint. It can get above it and then get back below it because, you know, you have failed range expansion, but you don't want it closing above it. And then this would be a target right here to play toward. And then we have, you know, we could bring up our monthly bear targets. From that high down, a primary bull target would be here at 2216, and a 100% move would be at 2159. So by the end of the month, next Wednesday, you know, we could see a move as far down as here and be measured according to our PivotBoss ADR method. So those are a few ideas on that one. This is RESI, Altisource Residential Corp. This one just had a nice rejection tail here. Anytime you see a big distribution here, you take it offered and then you drop it to rejection. Usually you come back to the midpoint of that range and then you look to come back down a little bit. And so, you know, that just kind of came to mind that we could be looking at a push back toward these recent key level here, about 950, 960. And so this could be a move right back against the range here. And the primary bear target for the month is 952. So this is one where you have a great rejection tail above prior resistance highs. We are in an aggressive uptrend, so you do have to be careful there, but there could be some short-term momentum to the downside. Not as strong as some of these other candidates, but definitely one to watch. This is QUOT, Quotient Technology. We have a nice range that is formed from 12 up to about 14s. Very nice range. A lot of tails coming in off this upper range right now. Very needled up. This is one of those that's a very tightly coiled 5-day range, which implies that volatility could be seen here pretty soon. Given the uptrending market here and all of these bears kind of coming in, defending, but not getting paid, there could be an opportunity here to see a big squeeze coming up. So this one's here is one to watch for volatility in either side. I know some traders like these because they'll trade some sort of straddle option or something here where you're just looking for an increase in volatility. If you get volatility, you make money. And this is one of those that's sitting right at resistance, very tightly coiled price action. And if it breaks to the upside, big up volatility. If it breaks down, then you have a move back to 12. Again, that's a $2 move on a $14 stock. So a couple of directional options here just because we're right at that pivot. Very tightly coiled action. Here's G. This one is, again, very similar to one of those last ones where we were trending significantly downward, and now we're seeing a pullback with a rejection tail here. This rejection tail is occurring right at the LVN, right? So in a trending market, you defend LVNs as a responsive participant in the primary direction of the trend. So right here at 2440, you can see a defense here, it drops, defense there, it drops, a defense there, it's starting to pull back with a significant selling tail, significant rejection of prices above these recent highs. That usually implies at least a move toward new lows below 23.40 with a shot to see lower price levels. If we take this on a weekly basis here, it'll forecast it from the recent high here. So if this is the high of the week, which was Tuesday's market, then by Friday we could see a move into 23.33. It's not a huge move, but it's a good little move down. That's just an average move based on average weekly range. And then again, we could see a continuation of that move should stops come out below 23.40. So there could be even more downside. So this is one to watch again. This is MSB. This is similar to, I think it was Quotient, one of these that we just saw, where we had this distribution here. It sells off. Here's a defense, but it was a higher low, so it comes back to the midpoint of that range and it's rejected. So it's almost like when VPOC goes offered, right? So VPOC, just say it's right here because this is where it chopped around, MC VPOC. It takes it offered right there and drops away. So then it comes back to VPOC, but since it went offered here, bears have a controlling stake in wanting to keep it offered here, and that's what happens. So in doing so, you usually see, should a midpoint retest hold in the 1030s or up to 1040, that could be an opportunity to see a push to new lows back toward recent support. That's about 840. So you could be looking at quite a move here, 1040 to 840. But based off of this high, the best idea would be to bring it back toward 964 by the end of the week, with an opportunity to see this thing continue over the next couple of weeks. This one's Alex. This one got a push higher out of this clear range distribution. You had a distribution here. And now in breaking this one to the upside, it's got to continue higher until it finds a rejection point. And now it's got to make its move back across the range to refill in this portion of the profile. So that means usually after you see a rejection day, you usually see a drop back toward previous resistance, which would then become support, and then you see a new distribution form here. So right now with this rejection tail coming beyond these prior highs, that looks pretty good. This could be an opportunity to sell it back towards support. You got to be able to take some off the table ahead of this LVN, because this is where bulls want to defend. But if you can get through that level, it's an easy push right back into this zone, 39s. And so this could be a nice selling opportunity into the support. Or you can be patient and wait for a move into 39s and then look to rebound and push this thing back toward 43s. This one has great market structure. It's been behaving exactly as you would expect. So this is a good course of action here, and this is exactly what you would expect here, basically, when these ranges are developing. So not bad here. One to watch. And I think this one's from a few days ago, so everything's good. All right. So those are the candidates here for some of the stock opportunities. Not bad. Some pretty decent opportunities here to watch out for over the next several days.